Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters and respected elders, welcome to another one of our videos where we will be discussing about the stories of prophets many Muslims don't know about. So I have here with me brother Lotfi Djafar. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about the story of Prophet Uzair, peace be upon him?
Alhamdulillahi wahdah wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Uzair alayhi salam is one of the prophets of Allah which he sent specifically to the children of Israel, the Jewish community. Alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned him by name in Surah At-Tawbah. And he mentioned his story in the Quran in Surah alBaqarah without a name. We'll come to these verses insha'Allah ta'ala. In Surah At-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرٌ ابْنُ اللَّهِ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ اللَّهِ. The Jewish people say Uzair is the son of Allah. And the Christian people say Al-Masih, the Messiah, Isa, is the son of Allah. ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُمْ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ. This is what they said with their own mouths. At the end of the ayah, Allah says, قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهِ. Allah will destroy them and punish them for these fake accusations and claims. So in here, we learn that the Jewish community, thousands of years ago, they accused Uzair, one of the prophets of Allah, to be his son. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. May Allah protect us from such statements of kufr. This is what Allah mentioned Uzair with his name in the Quran. Whereas in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah mentioned him but without stating his name. We'll come to that inshallah ta'ala. But before we start, I'd like to narrate to you a hadith which is reported to us by Ibn Jarir. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he mentioned that some people came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. They were Jewish. And they told him, كيف نتبعك? How do we follow you, Ya Muhammad? وقد تركت قبلتنا. How do we follow you as a prophet? And you have forsaken our qibla, because the Prophet ﷺ was praying to the qibla of Masjid al-Aqsa. And then when they migrated to Medina, they changed that to Mecca, Kaaba. You have changed the qibla. وأنت لا تزعم أن عزيرا ابن الله. And you don't believe that Uzair is the son of God. So they questioned Muhammad, telling him, we do not believe in you or follow you because you don't pray to the same qibla the Jewish people do, and you don't believe that Uzair is the son of God. At that time, the hadith says, فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فِي ذَلِكَ وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرٌ ابْنُ اللَّهِ. At that time, when that conversation took place, Allah sent down this ayah from Surah At-Tawbah. The Yahud, the Jewish community, claim or say that Uzair is the son of Allah. تَعَالَ اللَّهُ عَمَّا يَقُولُونَ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا. Glory be to Allah. Allah is free from these imperfections and deficiency. Allah is Ahadun Samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufu'an ahad. Allah is one, eternal. He's free from all needs and everyone is in need of him. He does not give birth and he was not born, Jalla fi'ulah. And no one is comparable to him, Jalla fi'ulah. This is our faith in Islam. This is what Surah Al-Ikhlas teaches us. So that's their claim. Why the Jews claim that Uzair is the son of God? This is something that we will find out later, inshallah ta'ala, at the end of his story, which Allah mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. Let us start what Allah said in Surah Al-Baqarah about this incident with Uzair. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about Ibrahim alayhi salam and the debate which he had with Namrud, the king in Iraq, who said, I can give life and I can cause death. And then Ibrahim told him, okay, then Allah brings the sun, raises the sun from the east, so bring it from the west. And then he was He was quiet. He could not speak. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. He was speechless because Ibrahim defeated him. And then Allah gave another story after that, the example of Tawheed. And specifically in here, the ability of Allah and the power of Allah that He can easily bring the dead back to life. Okay? Allah says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أو كالذي مر على قرية وهي خاوية على عروشها قال أنى يحيي هذه الله بعد موتها. Or, after the example that he gave us about Ibrahim and Namrud, he says, there is another story that we're going to tell you which proves that the ability of Allah, that He gives life and causes death and He's the all-powerful. Do you not know the example of the one who passed through a town, and this town was khawiyatun ala urushiha, upside down. It was destroyed. The roofs of this town were all collapsed. No one was in there alive. Nothing. It used to be a town populated, full of people, activities, markets, different places. But now it's completely destroyed, empty. What did he say? قَالَ أَنَّا يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. He was amazed. He was pondering in a way of reflecting. He says, shall Allah revive it after it has been dead? Shall Allah revive this town? He's wondering how perfect is Allah that He can what? Revive this dead town, bring it from the dead back to life. He knew that Allah can do that, of course, but he was pondering and reflecting. أَنَّا يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. Pondering on the power of Allah. What did Allah do? فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِئَةَ عَامٍ. Allah made him die for 1 century, 100 years. Now, who's this guy? The scholars in their tafsir, this man who passed through this empty town which was destroyed upside down, most mufassirin, most scholars who do the tafsir of the Quran, they say this is Uzair, a prophet from the prophets of Allah, which came after Yusha alayhi salam.
Right.
And some scholars, they say this is Hazqeel or Hazqiyal, which will, inshallah ta'ala, we will narrate his story soon, inshallah ta'ala. But most scholars, they say this is Uzair. And that's the most famous opinion, and wallahu ta'ala alam is the most authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is Uzair, passed through this dead town. Where is this town? The scholars, they say this town is Baytul Maqdis, the Holy Land, where Masjid al-Aqsa is. Why was it destroyed? The scholars, they say, there was in Iraq, in Babylon, okay, you know the city Babylon,
mm-hmm.
there was a king or a ruler there. He was very aggressive, very wicked ruler, Persian, Majusi. He was a fire worshipper. What did he do? He used to invade the West, okay? Syria and Sham and Palestine. He used to invade. They were in conflict all the time. And he used to enslave the children of Israel and so on and so forth. So he invaded Baytul Maqdis and he destroyed everything. His name is Bukhta-Nassar. Bukhta-Nassar, that's in Arabic. So he destroyed every single thing and he killed everyone. Few survived. Few survived. And they left the place because you can't live in there. Mm-hmm. And it is said in some narrations that he even burnt the Torah and killed scholars, and we'll come to know later about this, inshallah ta'ala.
Sure.
So we said, scholars say this is Uzair in this ayah, and we mentioned that this took place in Bayt al-Maqdis, Palestine, okay? And the one who destroyed it is Bukhta-Nassar with his army. This is what the scholars mentioned. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِئَةَ عَامٍ ثُمَّ بَعَثَهُ. Allah made him die for 100 years and then resurrected him, brought him back to life. قَالَ كَمْ لَبِثْتَ. Allah questioned this man, Uzair alayhi salam. How long were you in this state? How long were you dead for? How long were you asleep for? Because death is a major sleep, Because minor sleep is the sleep that, but death is a major sleep. You die, you disconnect from this dunya, and the next step is the hereafter. كم لبثت? How long were you in this state? قال لبثت يوما أو بعض يوم. Uzair replied, saying, I remained in that state a day or part of a day. Allahu Akbar. A day or part of a day. The scholars, they say, when Uzair died the first time there, he was 40 years old. He was 40 years old. And he died around duha time. It was sunny. And he woke up when it was sunny. So he thought it is the same day.
Right.
He thought it was the same day. قال لبثت يوما أو بعض يوم. And then Allah spoke. قال بل لبثت 100 عام. Allah said to him, no, in reality, you were in that state. You died for how long? For 100 years. 1 century. That's a very long time. فانظر إلى طعامك وشرابك لم يتسنه. Look at your food and at your drink. They were not spoiled. They didn't go off. The scholars, they mention that the food he had, it was some juice as well as some figs. Some juice, some figs. He had some fruits and some drink. Look, it did not go off. It's not spoiled. For 100 years, your food doesn't get spoiled. This can't be anything except a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَانظُرْ إِلَى حِمَارِكَ. And look at your donkey, because he was riding a donkey before he died. وَانظُرْ إِلَى حِمَارِكَ. Look at the miracle of Allah. Your donkey died too, but Allah will bring him back to life while you can see that. عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ, with certainty. Maybe when you woke up, you didn't feel that, but now you will see a living creature, a donkey, being brought back to life gradually, bit by bit. وَانظُرْ إِلَى حِمَارِكَ وَلِنَجْعَلَكَ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. And all of this so that you will be a lesson for the people, a sign for the people that Allah is the all-powerful. And when He wishes for something to be, all He says to it, what? Kun fayakun, be, and it comes to be. We will make you an ayah, we will make you a prophet. Go and teach the children of Israel. They are deviated. They will need the Torah to revive the teaching of the Torah because they lost it. Remember the other ruler? He burnt everything. وَلِنَجْعَلَكَ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. And we will make you a sign to the people, a prophet, an evidence that you are from Allah. وَانظُرْ إِلَى الْعِظَامِ كَيْفَ نُنْشِزُهَا ثُمَّ نَكْسُوهَا لَحْمًا. And look at the bones of your donkey, how we raise it up. The scholars, they say, when the donkey died, over years, the bones, they were scattered everywhere. So Allah collected it, and He shaped it. He put every bone in its correct position, and then raised it up. It stood, and then what did Allah do? ثُمَّ نَكْسُوهَا لَحْمًا. Dressed it with the flesh, the bones and then the flesh. And then in some narrations, Allah sent al-malak, an angel, to blow the ruh in it. And then the angel blew the ruh into this animal, and it came to be alive. It came to be alive, moving and ready to serve its rider. What did Uzair say at that time? فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ. When the matter was clear for him, قَالَ أَعْلَمُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. He says, I know that Allah is all-powerful and able to do everything and anything He wishes. He knew that. But he just wanted to reflect on the might of Allah and the power of Allah and the ability of Allah. And Allah taught him a lesson so that he will be a prophet and a sign to his people who were corrupt at that time. This is the ayah. It's all one ayah in Surah alBaqarah.
Right.
And it's the second page after Ayat al-Kursi, verse 259. You find this verse in Surah al-Baqarah, inshallah ta'ala. So that's what Allah mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem about Uzair. In the other ayah in Surah Tawbah, He mentioned his name. But in this ayah, He did not mention his name. How do we know it is him? Most scholars of Islam, according to Sahaba, they said what? This is Uzair, alayhi salam. So after he got back to life, he's got his food, his drink, his donkey. He got on his donkey and he went back to his town where he was from.
Right.
When he went to his people, there is some narrations in here. Some of them might be authentic. Most of them are Israeliyat from the people of the book. They say after he got his donkey, he went back to his house, another town. So he went there and he could see everything is different. 100 years. The roads changed, the shops, the people, new generation. But he knew where his house was. When he went to his house, he knocked the door. An old lady opened the door, very old, and she was blind and physically almost disabled. She can hardly move. She said, "Who are you?" He said, "I am Uzair." Remember, how old is he now? 40. He died. Allah made him die when he was 40. And then when he brought him back in the age 40 years old, with the same donkey and with the same looks and everything same. He said, "I am Uzair." She said, "Are you Uzair? Are you playing with me or something? How can you be Uzair?" This lady, she was his servant.
Right.
She was his servant. When he was 40, when he died the first time, she was 18 years old herself. She was, now how old is she? 118 years old.
Right.
And he's 40. How can that be? You're Uzair? Were you frozen or something? But he hasn't told her about the miracle Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. And then she told him, for you to prove that you are Al-Uzair, then Al-Uzair, every time he made dua to Allah, Allah would answer his dua. Make dua to Allah to bring me my sight back and to heal my body so I can be active again. It is said in this narration that he made a dua and Allah gave her sight back and her health back. And she believed. At that time, what did she do? She took him to a gathering of the nobles in the community of the children of Israel there in Palestine. You know, when nobles gathers, the chiefs and this, she went to tell them, like, finally we have someone to bring us the Torah, a Nabi from the Anbiya of Allah. So she went. Uzair also, the scholars, they say, in some Israeliyat too, they say he had a son who was 20 years old when he died first time.
Right.
So his son now is how old? 120. Yeah. His son was present in that gathering of the nobles. He went there and the lady told them, "This is Uzair, the righteous man we knew before. He would never lie. We all loved him. We all liked him." They were like, "What are you talking about, lady?" She said, "Look, my sight is back, my health." And they asked him, "Are you Uzair?" He said, "Yes, I am Uzair." And then his son said, "If you are Uzair, then you can only prove that if you show me the seal, a mark on his back, on his shoulder, the khatam of the prophethood. If you show me that, then you are my father. I would know it." It is said in this narration, Wallahu ta'ala alam how authentic it is, but the scholars narrated it in their tafsir. And there's no harm in it. There's no harm in it because Allah brought him back to life. And I'm sure Allah brought him back to life for what? For an ayah. وَلِنَجْعَلَكَ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. So we will make you a sign for the people. Obviously, he went back to his people and he presented this incident so that they would believe in him and follow him using the Torah of Musa. So something must have happened, something similar to this. Wallahu alam about the details of this story, but this is what we have in our books of tafsir. Sure. So he showed the sign, the mark on his shoulder or the back of his shoulder, and he showed the sign of prophethood. At that time, his son believed in him. But the people, they hesitated. They said, "No, we want something more evidence." The children of Israel, as you know, they always make obstacles and complications. So what happened? They said, "You know, that Bukhtanasar, the Persian king who came and destroyed our towns and everything, burnt the Torah, killed some Anbiya in some narrations. We have no Torah. We have no Sharia. We are left alone. We are left misguided. There is no prophet to lead us. There is no imam to lead us. If you are a true prophet from Allah, and if what you are saying is true, then ask Allah to give you the Tawrat so we can implement it once again. It is said, Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, at that time, 2 great lights, nur, came from the roof of that gathering and entered his mouth or his chest. And when that happened, he started reciting the Tawrat from the start to the end. From the start to the end. And they were amazed. What did they say at that time? What did they say? They said, this guy must be the son of Allah. Mm-hmm. Why? Because Musa alayhi salam was the first prophet to receive the Tawrat from Allah. He is the one who received the Tawrat from Allah. And every prophet after him had to revive the teachings of Musa alayhi salam. They had the Tawrat ready for them. But Musa alayhi salam, when he received the Tawrat from Allah, he received it written in al-alwah. In the scriptures written. But this guy, he's narrating the Tawrat to us from his memory in his chest. So he must be more special. Wicked, how they thought. Deviation, innovation. They thought this madness. Of course, Musa is greater. Okay? لا نفرق بين أحد منهم. We don't differentiate between prophets. But there is prophets who are top, like ulul azmi min ar-rusul. Musa is one of the best 5, alayhi salam. Okay? So they said, therefore, he must be the son of God. And they labeled him as the son of God. Of course, he denied that. And he challenged them. He said, I am nothing but a prophet from Allah. Taqullah. Fear Allah, O people. But you know their nature. وقالت اليهود عزير ابن الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. The Yahud claimed that Uzair is the son of God. At that time, obviously, he revived the Tawrat and the teachings and so on and so forth. Some of them believed in him, and lots of them what? They were fasiqeen, disobedient with that claim. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So this is the story of Nabiullah Uzair alayhi as-salam, according to our ulama in the tafsir, and according to the interpretations of these ayat from Surah alBaqarah and from Surah التوبة. بارك الله فيكم وحياكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Lotfi. That was beautifully narrated. And definitely make sure, my brothers and sisters, do share these stories with your brothers and sisters and friends and colleagues, as many will benefit from it, inshallah. So join us once again in another series of the stories of the prophets which many Muslims don't know about, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.